Hi, y'all. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. It is Terrific Tuesday. Already here, folks. So we're working toward Brandon's favorite day of the work week, but we hadn't gotten there yet. But we will get there sooner or later.
And Friday we'll have an extra festive mood, considering all the presidential activities going on Friday.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's payday. But that's okay. I'll take that.
That too. Don't think I didn't forget about that.
By the way, I hadn't heard from the King of Abbeville. You know, when this Cowboys got beat. You know, he ain't said a word, has he? Mm-mm. You know what I've about decided with and boy, I watched a lot of, I didn't watch any pro football this past weekend. Part of it was because I was on the road, but part of it was I just don't watch it like I used to. I still like it. I still try to watch some of it, but I don't have to watch them. By the way, the ratings really went down, and they all go back to Kaepernick. I mean, they've polled people, they've talked to people why they're not watching anymore. All goes back to Colin Kaepernick and the NFL acting like they were heroes. By the way, I want to thank PSC Supply and Hardware, Albertson Parkway and Broussard, Mr. Bill Pippin. Look what he gave me, Brandon. It's a shirt with his logo,
nice.
but look at the back.
Proud member of the basket of deplorables. But we are American, we have values, and we believe in America. God bless our country. # Make America Great Again.
Hey, that cool with American flag kind of been.
That's an awesome looking shirt.
It's a cool looking shirt. Awesome. So, hey, Bill, PSC Supply Hardware, Albertson's Parkway and Broussard, God bless you. Thank you so much. We're going to give you some good pub today, so make sure y'all go by and check him out. How's that? All for a T-shirt. Just think if he'd have sent something to eat.
You know, Moon does have a producer as well.
Yeah, I'm about to say. And Brandon ain't scared to talk.
I ain't afraid to receive gifts.
I'm starting to call you Matty, too, because nobody can talk like Matty. Matty could go to town, man. Anyway, great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Boy, what is that, 3 days away? At 11 o'clock, 3 days away from a pure Marxist socialist to get out of the presidency. 3 days. God have mercy. Can it come any quicker? Actually, can it come any slower? It just, because people don't understand because the press loves it. Anyway, President-elect Trump to be sworn in right when we're going off the air. So right before Limbaugh comes on a lot of stations. So it's interesting to see what happens. All right, got a lot of stuff to cover today. State stuff, budget stuff. By the way, do y'all know this? Headline, more money for top staff, less in the classroom since Katrina, study finds. See, Brandon, that's education reform. More money in people's pockets. By the way, and John Bel Air was going to call a special session. No reason to. Like I said, no reason at all. He's got the great Jay Darden working with him. He's got John Alario working with him. Why are we calling special sessions? And by the way, Darden admits that they raised $2 billion in the session last year. Darden says there doesn't seem to be much of an appetite among legislators to raise additional revenue. He says lawmakers raised nearly $2 billion in taxes last year, and it wasn't enough to balance the budget. No such thing as enough when you have a spending problem, folks. I'm just telling y'all what these people are getting ready to do. All right, John Lewis, who the press is trying to make out as some grand hero to civil rights. Well, you know, I like to find out a lot more about people. And Tucker Carlson had a gentleman on there who used to be a Black Panther. And anyway, he was interviewed about 5 minutes last night. And I want y'all to listen to what this black gentleman had to say about Mr. Lewis.
Georgia is being cast as the undisputed champion of Black America, standing in opposition to Donald Trump on behalf of all African Americans. But Lewis does not speak for all African Americans. Mason Weaver used to be a Black Panther, for example. He now says Lewis is a, quote, civil rights turncoat who's collaborating with the Democratic Party to oppress Black America. Mr. Weaver joins us now to explain what he means. Mr. Weaver, thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Really, my pleasure.
So what did you mean by that?
Well, you know, in the early 70s and late 60s, we were demonstrating and protesting for the right to compete as adult citizens in America. We were not demonstrating to be taken care of better. Now, Congressman Lewis, he marched across the Pettus Bridge, and they beat him and ran over him. But those were Democrats. It was Democrat. George Wallace stood in the schoolhouse yard. It was Democrats, Bull Connors, that oppressed folks. It was Democrats that voted for the litmus test called the literacy test and the poll tax. He was fighting Democrats. But after they beat his behind on that bridge and ran over him and stomped him on the ground, he got up and turned and joined them. He joined the oppressors and became a stooge for them, where he was now sitting and presiding over the destruction of the black community, the destruction of the black men, the destruction of the black women with drugs and gangs. He has presided over the worst school system in the world, where black people are learning only to be gang prep. So I'm outraged that the demonstration that he had early in his life has turned into a subjugation of his rights and authority as a black leader.
So when you say he's presided over, are you speaking of his congressional district?
Not just his congressional district, but the Congressional Communist Black Caucus that has every district they own and control is a ghetto hellhole. It's a place that no one wants to go to. They're in control of every inner city school system, every inner city police, every inner city jail. They have produced nothing but drugs and misery. Black-owned businesses, black-owned housing has been reduced. They have presided over the destruction of black people. They should be ashamed of themselves, and I don't understand why any black person could be a Democrat.
Huh. Interesting. So you believe that John Lewis, when he gets up and says anything, is already discredited because of what he's failed to do since the Civil Rights era?
He has done nothing. John Lewis, bless his heart, it took courage to do what he did in his early life. But what he has done now, he has turned himself to his enemy, like a little girl being beaten by daddy and joins daddy, like an abused woman beaten by her husband, she joins the husband. He has joined the enemy. He has joined the oppressor. And what he should do, if you're a real man, John Lewis, if you're a real hero, you stand up tomorrow morning and you look at the American people and you apologize. You have led them through decades of hell. You should apologize, say you made a mistake, say that you tried to work with them, but the Democratic Party has always been the party of abuse, always been the party of the Klan, the party that went to war to keep slaves, the party that's always been the destruction of black people. Mr. Lewis, you have presided over the destruction of black America, and you owe us an apology. And matter of fact, you're more concerned, he's more concerned about Trump being the illegitimate president, but John Lewis is the illegitimate congressman.
So, presumably, you don't believe that John Lewis is doing this on purpose, or that other members of the Congressional Black Caucus are doing this on purpose, do you?
That's why I love you so much, Tucker. You're so kind, you're so genuine, but I know that you hate BS. So I'm going to tell you, all I've seen that he has gotten rich and his people have gotten poor. The Black Caucus has gotten more power and influence, and the black people that preside over has gotten poor. More drugs, more gangs, less business, less home ownership, less education, more jail, more drugs. Now, if you did that in your job, you'll be fired. If you did that in any place else, you'll be fired. The worse black people are, the poorer we are, the stronger the Congressional Black Caucus is, the more powerful Democrats are, the worse off black people are. So I'm just saying, as a citizen of America, looking around my country, I'm saying that every place you find black people and Democrats, you find poverty. Now, wait for someone to say, well, I'm wrong. You find disgrace, you find degradation, you find no jobs, you find a place that is utterly unlivable. That's his legacy. Huh.
Mason Weaver, not a mincer of words. Thanks for joining us.
Mason Weaver, former head of the Black Panthers. Boy, I tell you what, is anything he didn't say. But here's what's the sad is that name something that's not true that he said. I was trying to find where he exaggerated what he lied about, and he didn't. Go look at John Lewis's constituents. You've heard me say on it many times. Why don't we go take pictures in the cities before Obama and after Obama? It's worse. Look at all these leaders that did filthy rich. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. But what changes? And they blame the elected officials. Well, when the left is in charge, they don't worry about the poor. They just want them on election day. Mary Landrieu was a great example of that. The buses always ran on election day. The buses didn't run the day or two before Katrina hit. Not at all. And those people lived in poor rags, unfortunately. And that's what Democrats do. And that's why they want another underclass. They want these people coming from these other countries who don't even care about this country. But if they'll come vote Democrat, we'll take them. I mean, I can't see anything wrong that the man said. What did he say that was wrong? He can say it. I can't say some of the things he said, but he can say it. And John, that's what John loves. Okay, so he was a hero back then. What has he done lately? He's enriched himself. By the way, I didn't know if you know this or not, Brandon. He didn't go to the inauguration of President Bush either. He thought he was illegitimate. You see, there's a trend here with this guy. Okay, everything's race. Blame Republicans. Blame whites. Blame Republicans. And nothing else matters. He didn't even go. He didn't go to that one either. So there's always some people not going. But this is the guy they're trying to make a hero out of it, and I think this guy laid him out. The truth is out there. Let's go look at his congressional district of what he's improved. And you'll find him and his buddies that have been close to him have benefited and made money. The people that he really represents are still poor and uneducated as can be. And that guy's been up there for many, many, many years. Democrats run all these cities. Governments, Democrats run all of them. They run all the city school systems, inner cities. Nothing changes. It gets worse. And all they do is blame somebody. And when their people in charge, nothing gets better. We got to take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Boy, I'll tell you what, a little bit over 3 days. 3 days from today. Let's say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 3. Last time I looked at it, wasn't even using Common Core math. 3 days from 11 o'clock. 3 days. Wow. Pumped up. Hey, if Trump fails, he fails. But I just don't think he's going to take this country into some socialistic utopia that the president thinks we can be because he's smart enough to get us there. He's not. And number 2 is if socialist utopia, you failed. You're a failed country. You failed big time. By the way, I'm just also getting a kick out of this. There are ads out there offering protesters $2,500 to agitate. Ads in 24 cities offer protesters up to $2,500. Folks, I'm not making this up. $2,500 to agitate on Inauguration Day. They got to pay people to go do stuff. Nobody wants to do this. Donald Trump maybe have a point about paid protest jobs ad running in more than 20 cities offer $2,500 per month for agitators to demonstrate at this week's presidential inauguration event. Demand Protest, a San Francisco company that builds itself the largest private grassroots support organization in the United States, posted an identical ad January 12th in multiple cities on Backpage.com. Get paid fighting against Trump. $2,500 a month. $50 an hour, as long as you participate in at least 6 events in a year. Just think, you got to pay people to go do this. Because, you see, let's go back to the Tea Party. I don't hear a whole lot about them anymore. I'm asking, is the Tea Party still around? Taxed enough already, okay? Brandon, that's what it was. Taxed enough already. Okay? And that was driven by real people. That wasn't driven by money. That wasn't driven by anything. Tea parties were popping up left and right in local communities. But the left has to pay for it because there's no organization of it. This Tea Party thing came out of worrying about what this president was going to do. And, of course, Barack Obama and them sent the IRS after them. Matter of fact, if Trump sends the IRS at these leftist organizations and its organization on a protest, that'd be okay with the left, right? Because they never complained when Obama sent the IRS after Tea Party people. I don't think Trump's going to do that. But the left did it, and the left never complained. When Obama did it, of course, they didn't complain about anything the man did. I mean, it's okay for Trump to do that right now, folks, right? I mean, he can go after people with the IRS, right, and the FBI, whatever else they want to. I mean, he probably won't, but Obama did it. By the way, this is the ludicrous left, and I'm telling you, it's going to be done mostly with the black representatives because it's a race thing. Despite and desperate, Democrats call for Trump impeachment. Claims Russia fed him the term Crooked Hillary. Maxine Waters. By the way, Brandon, if you pull this up, Go to Drudge Report left. Maxine herself, and we may play really a lot of intelligence here. Let me apologize up front. If you just pull it, it's a piece with her on TV. And MSNBC, where else would it be on such a great pro station like that? And she's on hardball with Chris Matthews, already going to investigate Trump. Already. But do you know this is John Lewis, Representative Waters, because she asked, does that make Trump collusion with the Russians subject to impeachment? Okay, do you have that? I need to know how long that is, too.
Well, you're not going to have time to play it before the break.
Okay, we may play it when we come back. I just got to play it. It's amazing. They're saying Russia came up with crooked Hillary, so Trump started using it. I mean, these people are insane. They are insane. We didn't do none of that when Obama went in. We just watched his socialist, Marxist programs that would never work here because they've never worked anywhere in the world. All right, let's go to the phone line real quick. Norman Poachy Bridge. How you doing, Norman?
Oh, pretty good, Moon. Happy New Year.
Yes,
First
sir.
of all, real quick about being paid to protest.
Yeah.
My wife was teaching school at the time of the first Gulf War, and her students told her that they were offered money to go protest.
Wow.
But apparently they weren't paying enough, so they didn't. and the next thing, all these people, Maxine and everybody else that's so mad at Trump, if they want to boycott, they ought to refuse federal funds. And I don't know if that would work or not.
Yeah, nobody's going to refuse federal funds.
That's what I'm thinking.
Everybody's hurting financially, and nobody ever pays attention to anything. Anyway, got to go. Appreciate the call. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline, a little bit over 3 days left. New presidency. Instead of a regime, we can have a presidency. By the way, Trump said making good on a promise to slash government. He says reductions in some departments can go as high as 10%, staff cuts up to 20%. Numbers that would rock Washington if it follows through. I think you ought to rock them. Hey, our world's been rocked. Let's rock them. I'm just telling you, that's a good place to go save some money. Hey, they know somebody, they'll get another job. You know, that's what has to be done. So I'd say let's do it. 10% spending cuts, 20% slash of federal workers. Nothing wrong with that, folks. I guarantee you they can get rid of a lot of them without firing one person. Okay. Maxine Waters, the next one to nut up. She's in the Black Caucus. She's nutting up. Okay? She's talking about impeachment, but she's talking to Chris Matthews, one that's got that tingling feeling down his leg when Obama came along. Listen to this. You want to talk about a conversation about hypotheticals? It's not about anything going on between Chris Matthews and Maxine Waters. Nothing. All they're talking about is if you do that, Brandon, if I make $10 million this year, Brandon, am I going to retire? You know what I'm saying? If you make $10 million this year, Brandon, are you going to retire? That's what it is. It's conversations about things that ain't happening and probably not going to happen. Here it is. Bananas.
Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California, who also plans to skip the inauguration. Also joining us is Republican strategist John Brabender. Congresswoman, let me ask you about that. I guess there's two issues here. Is Trump going to be a legitimate president of the United States, actually president of the United States, or not?
He is going to be president Friday.
Are there questions about what role the Russians played in this election? I personally believe they're separate questions, but do you?
No, absolutely not. And I think when John talked about him being illegitimate, he really was talking about the fact that the questions are still out there about whether or not the Russians did play a role in determining what happened in our elections.
Role?
And also, I think John was talking about there are going to be more investigations to determine whether or not Trump or his advocates, people associated with him on his staff in the campaign, whether or not there was some collusion, whether or not there was exchange of information, whether or not they were strategizing together. And I think that's what he was trying to describe. Other people are trying to talk about this, democracy and whether or not
a democracy.
You question whether someone is legitimate, that you are questioning whether or not the democracy works. And people, don't want it to be that you are deciding that somehow the electoral system doesn't work, the democracy doesn't work,
We're not a
democracy. He's really talking about this unusual occurrence where, in fact, we know that the Russians played an important role.
What the hell did they do?
They tried to support Mr. Trump, and they tried to make sure that Hillary Clinton didn't get elected. And so I think that's a legitimate discussion.
Well, let's talk about where that leads to, Congresswoman. You've raised a good point here. I guess for you it is important. If we find out that somebody on behalf of Donald Trump was on the phone or in email relations with somebody in Russia or the ambassador to America from Russia, and there was some sort of, as you call it, collusion, then what? Does that make Trump subject to impeachment? What do you mean by not legitimate?
Now.
Just generally what you mean by the term.
Well,
if you find out there was a connection, there was collusion, your term.
Well, here's what I'm trying to get to. If we discover that Donald Trump or his advocates played a role in helping to devise strategy, if they're the ones who came up with crooked Hillary, if they're the ones who came up with she's ill, something's wrong with her energy,
we saw it on TV, fool.
Basically, described her in the campaign, I think that is something that would put the question squarely on the table whether or not he should be impeached.
All right, Brian, I can't.
So you think you can?
Everything's hypothetical. If it rains today, folks, I'm gonna get wet. if I make $10 million today, I'm gonna retire. When impeach Chris Matthews. Does anybody watch this crap? I mean, she kept calling us a democracy. That's the problem. People think we live in a democracy. We don't. Democracy is mob rule. It's amazing to listen. And by the way, who was the president talking to when he said, if you just wait for my re-election to go by, then there's a lot of things I can do. Who said that, Brent?
President Obama.
Who was he talking about?
Talking about he was talking to. He was talking about. I'm sorry, talking about President Putin, right?
Yes, exactly. He was talking about the Russian president.
Yes.
Just let me win the presidency, and I can do a lot more. And that was it. The president. Boy, you didn't hear Maxine Waters get upset about that, did you? You didn't hear Maxine Waters say a word, did you? Folks, these people are so political. Everything is aimed at politics. No wonder the inner cities don't have any spokesmen for them. No wonder the inner cities are polluted and disgusting. No wonder they have the drug problem. No wonder there's Maxine Waters and John Lewis are the leaders. No wonder they have problems. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But you hear this. You hear it for your own self. Incredible. All right, let's go to Joey in Abbeville. Joey, how you doing?
Hey, Moon. Good morning, man.
Good morning, sir.
The Hildebeest was caught using illegal email, the Clinton Foundation and all of that, taking money from foreign governments.
Yep. Maxine Waters didn't worry about it. No, Maxine's not worried about that issue.
Why not?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her why she's not worried about it.
Yep.
And they took money from foreign governments to influence everything that happens over here. And old Maxine Waters just, she doesn't see the problem. She doesn't even see the problems in inner cities that she's caused. John Lewis doesn't see the problem. They only see what they want to see. Period.
That's it. They just, they get elected to their little positions, and then, they were talking about these folks that have all the money in the world. They don't have a problem with a politician getting elected and becoming a millionaire overnight.
No.
They don't even talk about that.
These people right here, like Maxine Waters, been there forever. She has money. She has a pension. She's not fixed one thing, but she doesn't look at the problem. There's Obama. Obama with the Putin, I ever say his name is to Putin, and says, hey, look, let me win a re-election, and I can do a lot more once I get re-election. The same guy she's talking about, same country, no problem. It was Obama. See,
Again,
these people lay behind race, lay behind the Democrat Party, and that's all they do.
It's the fake news, man. It's the fake news. Until, people just need to realize what we watching on TV ain't real.
But, Joey, when you heard Chris Matthews asking questions, he wasn't asking questions. He was asking about hypotheticals. If you do this, if you do this, if you do this. Then he brings up impeachment. I mean, it's just crazy.
I cannot listen to that cat. Chris Matthews and Obama, I just can't listen to him, dude. I can't watch regular news. I get nauseated.
Yeah, but
it's not real.
These people are so fake. Maxine Waters, John Lewis are so fake.
Yep.
It's not even funny. And as the President of the United States telling Putin, just wait till I get reelected and I'll be able to do more with you. Right there on tape. But she never saw that, I bet. I bet she never saw that tape. Mm-hmm. And she never knew what Hillary was doing.
They live in a different world, Moon.
I know they do, brother. Let me roll. We got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Your calls are welcome, folks. Unbelievable what these people do. Unbelievable. All right. We got to take a break. Be back. More of the Moon Griffon Show right after. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Brian, we listen to this stuff. We listen to the gentleman going off on John Lewis, and you listen to Maxine Waters. And you can't make me believe that reasonable people can't hear this and just shake their head and go, oh, my God. But on the left, that's just who they are. There's no reality in it. There's no truth in it. The truth will scare the hell out of them. Maybe they're scared of Trump because he's going to be truthful. I don't know. I don't know what kind of president Trump's going to be. We're going to see. We're getting ready to see in about 3 days. Live it over 3 days. Actually, when it gets to the top of the hour, 3 days and 1 hour. We're down to 3 days and 1 hour, and we're going to find out what kind of president he's going to be. He's got to do it. We knew what Obama would do, and he did it. He got his agenda through. Obamacare is just one. I mean, it's just one bad decision after another. Anyway. By the way, school offers safe spaces to combat toxic masculinity. I mean, the craziness goes on. Next thing you're going to say is man-made global warming's happening. Let's go to Richard in Lafayette. Richard, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Listen, Russia did play a pivotal role in all this. First of all, it was about uranium, and it has a special deal with Clinton. And I got the idea, maybe you think the same way, that Clinton might have cut Obama out of the deal, and that's why Obama's not going to back out of this thing. He's going to let it rock and roll and let the courts take its role on it herself. What do you think?
I don't know. I just, when they say, like Maxine Waters, we're going to see what Russia did, and if they did, I want to know, how did they take the votes and change the actual votes that went into these voting machines? Every state. That's why it's important that every state stays separate. We don't have to have any uniform voting or go with California and New York. Every state stays separate. Every state has their own online stuff that they do. And listen, until they can show me how Russia changed the minds or the votes in a voting machine, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And all they doing is saying, Maxine Waters, let me ask you a question. You just heard her. Why she didn't go in a list everything Russia did to change the outcome of the election? And the reason you didn't hear her say anything about it, because she don't know. It's a great talking point on an ignorant program. You got ignorant and ignorant coming together, and there wasn't even no question about anything on being truthful. He asked, is the president illegit? And well, he's going to be sworn in 3 days. He's going to be sworn in.
Well, it's too late for the new administration coming in. I think Obama got out of the deal, and that's why he's a little bent at Hillary for not cutting him into it.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for the call. I just know this: every time I listen to this stuff, I just get infuriated about it. I just listen to it and go, really? I mean, no reality at all on the left. They just don't deal with reality because reality, I come to think of it, Brandon, reality, Trump was in a reality show, wasn't he?
Celebrity Apprentice. You know, I watched the first episode of that the other day because Arnold Schwarzenegger has now taken over the show since Donald Trump had to give it up.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that a year ago, watching Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump and maybe not a year, but maybe 2 years ago, watching Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump and not even thinking that could be the next president of the United States.
No, you didn't think about it.
It's crazy.
No, you didn't. Trump meets with scientists who touts benefit of CO2, global warming. Planet would benefit from more carbon dioxide and that any global warming would be a positive development for humanity. Professor William Happer, he says it's going to be a great thing. Details of the 13th meeting with Trump Tower was not released to the public, but analysis speculated Trump may be considered a respected expert. Frantic climate alarmists were furious. I bet they were. Taking to their keyboards to liberal and to demonize the respected scholar as well as President-elect Trump. Absolutely. The left can do only one thing and demonize. That's it. Because they don't have the truth. Oh, the climate alarmists. Oh, they freaking out. Trump supporters and climate realists. I'm one of those. I'm a climate realist. Those celebrated the news. Both sides speculated that it could be a sign that the incoming administration plans to follow through on Trump's campaign pledge to throw cold water on the tax-funded climate hysteria. Yes! Throw it on that ignorance, because that is ignorance. It's a hoax. And Trump has called it a hoax. He also vowed to cancel the communist China-backed United Nations Paris Agreement. He needs to do that as well. So, anyway, they're going to nut up, folks. They're going to nut up and continue to nut up. There's at the event headline, Global Warming, an Inconvenient Lie. Happer explained, don't you love it? I didn't say you love it, Brandon. I do, though. Happer explained, among the other points, that most plants were actually designed to exist in an atmosphere much richer in CO2, which is described as a wonderful and beneficial molecule. For you people in Balkanville, you have to go back and look at read your science books, chemistry books. Almost all plant life would benefit from more CO2, which is why farmers pump it into their greenhouses, Happer explained. So, this is what I'm saying. By the way, I guess this consensus on this is not really out there, and it's not. As for the catastrophic man-made global warming theory, but by the way, I didn't know Louisiana got it, but we got it because Bananas Foster told us. We got man-made global warming. We got it. He didn't say where we got it from. He didn't say we was going to get rid of it, but he said we got man-made global warming.
Let me tell you something. I'm the only one up here that will admit that we have man-made global warming.
And you lost.
We've got it. Louisiana's not the same, and it's not going to be the same. So we need every program we can help the 4.5 million people in Louisiana. We had people in Baton Rouge who flooded, who were not in a flood zone, never needed flood insurance, never happened in 500 years. So our state and our country is changing. Our world is changing. We have man-made global warming.
Oh, could you imagine that Senator Bananas Foster Campbell? Bananas. Oh, golly. Oh, man, this guy right here is laying it on thick, and I love it because he's telling the truth. He's got way more the truth in him than these other crazies. He said it's pretty clear we're not going to see dangerous climate change. You're right, we're not. If nothing else, the Earth has already done that experiment many times because of geological past. CO2 levels have been 4 times, 5 times even higher than today, and life flourished all over the Earth and the oceans too. So it's nonsense. CO2 is not a pollutant. By the way, Brandon, they years ago we used Freon in like refrigerators or freezers, and they quit doing that. Because they really said it's burning the climate. And it's not burning the climate. It probably helped the climate if the truth is known. Citing discredited climate models that predicted much more warming than we observed. He explained that climate science is in shambles currently. Why? They ain't got nothing right yet. Why do you think they changed the name from man-made global warming to climate change? They've not gotten anything right. It's a hoax. It's a lie. It's going to always be a lie. And people that buy into this, folks, I'm telling you, they're either making money, making a living, or brainwashing somebody. How would you like to hear Maxine Waters talk about man-made global warming? I bet that would be an intelligent conversation. Her and Chris Matthews talking about it. That would be a really, really great conversation, don't you think, folks? But this is what's going on. Anyway, I need to send this. Matter of fact, I will. I'll send this to Jennifer to post at Moon Griffon on my Facebook. And that way y'all can read this craziness. And I don't have to put up with it by myself. You know what I'm saying? It's well, aren't you sweet for sharing the love? Dude, I am a nice guy. And being a nice guy, I want everybody to be able to read what I'm reading. Because I want you to appreciate the honesty. Okay? All right. That means we got to take a break. Hey, it is exactly 3 days and 1 hour. And we'll have a new president of the United States. 3 days and 1 hour from the top of the hour. Whew, can't wait for it to get here. We'll be right back. Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Good to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to to be a voice. ABC Walpole, WAPO, poll, President-elect Trump to enter as the most unpopular president for at least 40 years. So? Who cares? I really don't. So Obama's popular, that's good. Trump's not as popular, that's bad. I don't think it's like that. The man is popular, Obama, was the worst thing could have happened to any free country. Give me somebody that may not be popular, but will do what's right. I'll take them every day. And then recognize, too, how stuff like this is being run with the poll. And on the other side, you have, like, CNN, for instance, doing a story on Hillary Clinton and presenting her as just this lovable, likable person who, let's not forget, she was pretty unpopular, unfavorable ratings herself. By the way, 70% of the House Democrats are skipping an inauguration were in the states that Hillary won. So let them skip. Hell, don't go. Matter of fact, you know what I'd rather them do? Go to the inauguration. Don't show up for the votes. Really help us out. Show us what you mean. Don't show up for the votes. By the way, NFL support of Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers tanked its ratings because of that. Protesting the national anthem. Kaepernick doesn't even vote. The man doesn't even vote. And they made a big deal of showing these people. The NFL would have helped themselves if they would have ignored them and not showed them any time of them protesting the national anthem. Okay? Large share of fans responded to the NFL's endorsement of Colin Kaepernick's anti-American message by refusing to tune in to games, prompting a huge decline in TV ratings. I didn't watch them nearly as much, and I don't know why I watch them at all. But that, my friend, let them do it. Let them run all the audience out. Run all advertisers away and see what they're going to have. Boy, they made their point, though. They made their point, didn't they? It's an incredible thing to continue to watch. By the way, and I got this from a lot of people, Tops cut weighs heavy on UL students. It was a headline today. Brandon is all over the state. There have been people not go back to school because of cuts in tops. There have been people that have had to get 2 jobs because of cutting tops. Now, I'm always on the side because I understand people not liking tops at all. I understand that. But my point has always been we set the rules up. People get in the game, encouraged. They can get their tuition paid for. And we in Louisiana continue to pull a rug underneath anything that's probably good or anything that we're trying and we don't follow through with it. And this is the message being sent to young kids. This is the message we've been sending to businesses for 30, 40 years. Here's the rules, but we might change them today. Here's an opportunity for young people on a merit system. Remember, we wanted to keep our best and brightest. We had too many people leaving. We wanted to change our migration. So what do? Midway through, some of them senior year, Brandon. Some of them school year, but some of them senior year, you better find a way to pay for it. I had one person tell me it was a $1,200 swing for them. $1,200 swing this semester. One semester. So, this is what Louisiana legislature continues to do in governor's offices, change the rules of the game. They've been doing this with business. And I'll go back to, and I don't care how good or bad the tax credits were for the movie industry. Boy, people were coming, spending money and doing that. Boom, we pulled it. We do this with a lot of businesses. And I'm telling you, that is not a good way to run your state. And we're still doing it, and we do it to our own people, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. But we do it all the time. So, anyway, that's what's going on. All right, take a couple more calls. Let's go to Mike in Lafayette. Mike, how you doing?
Oh, just fine. Good morning. My analogy of craziness with all the liberals and their squawking has to do kind of similar to the squeaky wheel syndrome. They squawk. They've been doing it. It started decades ago, not just last year or 8 years ago, decades ago. Squawk.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give them a little drop of oil. And then they squawk, and another drop of oil, in the form of a little bit of, giving in a little bit with extras and political correctness and all of this foolishness. And they keep squawking, and they keep squeaking and getting louder and louder. And now that the voters have said, no more oil for you fools, they're squawking some more because the squeak is going to get louder.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely squawking. It's the same, but that's what they do. That's what they're going to do. And get ready, because there's no telling what they'll try to pull. Once again, we got a lot of leftist countries that these people can move to, that are failed democracies, that they can move to and enjoy their utopia. They won't do it. They'd rather run what's here. And that's a shame.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Absolutely. So,
but not surprising. Yeah. All right.
I'll keep my oil in my house.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't blame you. Good point. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the call. By the way, somebody just wrote me, speaking of global warming, he said, you know whatever happened to the hole in ozone? Brandon, when we were younger. Brandon, when were you born? What year?
End of 84.
Okay. This is in 86. Scientists says that the ozone and had a hole in it over the polar ice caps in Antarctica. It's supposed to open up every spring and grew larger and larger every year. In 2015, NASA remarkably reported that it suddenly healed up and went away. God says another example of scare tactics from the left that fizzled out. So, hoot, that is. Another lie. They're just not going to tell the truth, folks. When they try to control you, it's called brainwashing. I see it in inner cities on a daily basis. Tom in East Texas. How you doing, Tom?
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to speak to you this morning.
Yes, sir. Good to hear from you.
Thank you, sir. Regarding the Democratic House members that are sniveling and whining and deciding not to go to the inauguration, they made it very plain 8 years ago that they did not need us, that they did not want us. I recall Obama saying that Republicans can go along, but they got to get to the rear of the bus because we don't really need them. And without a single vote, they jammed the Affordable Care Act down our throat. They jammed Dodd-Frank down our throat. They decided to no longer defend marriage. And they made it very plain that they didn't need us, didn't care about us, and didn't want us. Well, frankly, they can go ahead and not attend the inauguration because we don't need them, we don't want them, and I don't care about them.
They don't. By the way, the inauguration is going to go on whether they're there or not. And be honest with you, if I watch any of the inauguration, I'm not going to be looking and say, well, let me see if I can see John Lewis. Let me go see if I can see Maxine Waters.
Absolutely. Make no mistake, though, there are people out there that still secretly harbor the idea that they can somehow stop this happening Friday at noon. There are people out there trying to do this. And there's going to be a lot of hell raised in D.C. You can almost count on that.
See, I go the opposite way. Every time they tell us how it's going to be bad and they come in, they're doing this and doing that, usually nothing happens. Every time they tell us all these people come and protest and we're paying them, nothing happens. You might be right.
I hope you're right.
I'm just saying, usually when they start saying this is going to happen, when the left says something's going to happen, it never happens. Global warming. It's never happened. But they say it happens.
Yep. The other point I wanted to make is about the repeal of Obamacare. You know, that's the first step, repealing the act itself. But what has to happen, and what's really causing the biggest issues, are the 20,000 pages of instructions, mandates, and regulations. If you don't repeal those, along with the act itself, you might as well whistle at a hurricane, because you've got to get rid of all the garbage and the crap that went along with it.
Yep.
As well, and that'll clean up 90% of the troubles and the problems we're having.
Well, I think you need to clean it up, and whatever you're going to do to change it, you need to change it. Do it all at once. Let them cry, bicker, whatever they want to do, but don't do it and then stretch it out over 6 months and a year, and then they get into the debate. The hell with the Democrats. They lost. They go to the back to bus. That's what they told us. Go to the back to bus.
Absolutely. Shoot it in the head, sweep it up, and dump it in the trash, and get the hell rid of it.
Yep. All right, got to run. Appreciate the call. By the way, General Motors announces $1 billion factory investment in the U.S., creating more jobs. So, Bear to pledge billions in U.S. investment, new jobs, and a Monsanto deal wins approval. So, anyway, people are excited that maybe we'll have economic development again. We didn't have it under that last president. We had giveaway. And don't count the people not looking for work. Tom in Bastrop. How you doing, T-Tom?
Pretty good. You doing all right, buddy?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Doing great.
Last time I was home from offshore, I went down to the Chamber of Commerce meeting. They had our wonderful governor speaking. And I went down there with a specific intent of questioning all of our legislators about the TOPS program.
Yeah.
Well, we had several of them were disgusted with the governor about what he's done. The other part was trying to make excuses, which one of them was our wonderful Senator Thompson was trying to make excuses.
The fee defends every governor because he will kiss all of them to get what he wants. That's just a fact. That's why you'll see the fee do that. He said, the fee, we ought to nickname the fee the kissing bandit, because he'll kiss the rear end of every governor that comes through.
Yeah. And I tried to get to the governor, but he had that little puppy dog running around behind him, or Jay Darden, and you couldn't get to him, and they got him out the back door before he had to answer any questions. So I didn't get a chance to get to him. But the thing is, the TOPS turnaround for us was $3,700 a semester.
Mm-hmm.
Our daughter went through school. She made great grades, and I told her, I said, our government just lied to you. They told you do good, and we'll help you go to college if you keep it up.
Yep.
Well, she's kept it up.
But let me ask you a question. These young people who are going to college, and they're a senior or junior, whatever, and they're going, what are y'all doing this to me? You think the kids are going, well, I can't wait till I graduate so I can stay in the state that just put a knife in me. Because I'm going to tell you, they're going to get out of here. The reason they had TOPS was to keep our best and brightest. And what you're doing now is you're telling them, we're changing the rules on y'all again. And that's what they do in everything. They want a special session. I heard for a year or two from the honor code, our one-term governor, Jay Darden, we don't need to use one-time money. You know one of the answers for the $313 million? One-time money. They used one-time money last year. Same crap. Nobody's reporting it but me. It's a shame. We got to take a break. Thanks for the call. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. One person writes out of Pondville, telling my kids to leave. Just go visit Louisiana. Wow. I'm not going to ever tell my kids to leave. I know, but there are parents out there telling their kids to go. Go. Get out of here. Changing the rules like that. Oh, let me give you another. Remember we talked about education reform? Okay. No, New Orleans Times-Picayune, you ready? Headlines, more money for top staff, less in the classroom since Katrina, study finds. The leaders who overturned New Orleans public schools after Hurricane Katrina criticized the old regime for its bureaucracy. But they're now spending more on central administration than districts across the state and less in the classroom. According to a report by Education Research Alliance for New Orleans released Tuesday, January 17th, that was yesterday for you people in Balkanville. New Orleans public schools now spend $1,358 more per student than the 17-district comparison, but they spend $706 per student less on instruction, including teacher salaries and benefits. So, see, that's school reform. School reform is more money in the pockets of the administrators. I mean, think about what I just shared with you, folks. That's what they do on roads. Now, I'm working on some information on these roads to prove to y'all they had the money before they ever, all this complaining about a $13 billion backlog. They had the money to fix roads. They never did. But this is education reform. The headlines, more money for top staff, less in the classrooms. And they'll tell you, oh, no, we're making progress. But we stay 48th and 49th. It is. Education reform, folks, at its best. More money on top staff, less in the classroom. And this is education reform. Let's go to Chris in Shreveport. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing fine, sir.
Yeah, so I was sitting here talking. I was listening this morning on the first show that comes on before. You know, they were talking about, you know, the taxes that are being imposed on Amazon and how Amazon, starting like July 1st, are going to be imposing that, you know, private individuals selling on Amazon are required to send individuals a tax, basically a tax to show them what they owe in taxes. Well, my question is, when did the state legislator step in and become the IRS? Like, how can they start enforcing taxes on a business that doesn't even have a brick and mortar building in the state of Louisiana? Yeah, granted, we are supposed to, you know, claim our taxes at the end of the year, but it's the IRS's job to make us report it. It's not the legislator. It's not Jay Darden. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, where they can get off.
Well, let me tell you something. And I'm going to be a little different on this, and I'm not even arguing with what you said, by the way. That's not where I'm going. And I've sat down with people, and they put this to me, and it's made a lot of sense. You see all of them, businesses like, I live in Lafayette, and you live in Shreveport, so we'll just take Shreveport, all the businesses. And those businesses they have bricks and mortar. And they have to collect sales taxes from you and me. And they have to pay their taxes. And they're the ones that give tax dollars for the water and all the municipalities make their money that way to fix your water. They have policemen, they have school teachers and all that stuff. So when you buy something on, quote, Amazon, you're not paying a sales tax. A lot of people are starting to believe, and this is good conservative people, that what we're doing is we're hurting our own sales by doing that. Because instead of you buying it local, you bought it on Amazon where you're not paying a sales tax. But we got to remember that property and sales taxes do go to some things that we need our tax dollars to go to, like, you know, policemen, you know, sheriff's departments, and things of that nature. No, you see what I'm saying? Your question is a little different in the fact that you're saying, how does the legislature get to do that? And I can't argue with you on that.
Right.
I think you make a good point, but I'm just.
My main point is, if we knew if you know, they want to put these taxes in place, well, if it wasn't Louisiana, you know, if Jay Darden could give us a ticket showing where our taxes are actually going, then I wouldn't mind paying taxes online. But I mean, they can't even tell us. Oh no, hey,
Chris, I'm 100% with you on that, and they're not going to tell you where the tax dollars are going. But I can promise you, it's not going where they're supposed to. Good point. Thank you. Take a break. I don't mind telling you on that. It's still our brand.
All right.
And nobody knows what we're talking about, but it's still are, but they just don't have the name anymore. All right.
Sometimes a commercial break is just not long enough for the conversations we have.
Not for the good ones. Anyway, thanks for being part of the program. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. By the way, I don't think Gus sent this to me. And he made a good point, so I'm going to share it with you. Gus, if you want me to shut down, you better send it quick. Gus Rand sent this to me. He said, popularity has no relationship to success. Talking about Trump and these poll numbers. None. This is why employees don't elect their bosses and ball players don't select their coaches. We need to be pushed outside of our comfort zone. This is never popular, but it's always beneficial for our growth. The same is true for good corporations. A good boss, just like parent, is not your friend. And you come to think of it, I'm not my kid's friend. I'm his daddy. They push you to your personal limits. Whether they're ultimately a good leader, time will tell, but you will be forever changed, and you will learn more about yourself than your capabilities. This is why I am a conservative. I believe in American exceptionalism. Trying to believe in a free market, we may fail, we may succeed, but we will be forever changed and forever stronger. I don't care if Trump is ever popular, so long as we, the American people, ready, have the freedom to be our best. Ronald Reagan said about the American dream, the American dream is not that every man must be level with every other man, because he's not. The American dream is that every man must be free to become whatever God intends he should become. This should be the goal of our leaders at the state and federal level. With God, of course, you mentioned God, Democrats run. All right, mention Jesus, they freak out. They start doing the freaky deaky. Let's go to David in North Louisiana. David, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, Moon. I appreciate your comments about God and what we need in our country.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to talk about my experience at Neville High School in regard to your comments earlier about what should have been done with the New Orleans public schools after Katrina and all the things that happened then. I think when I was at Neville in the 80s, you and I may have had some mutual acquaintances at least. You remember when Charlie Brown was the football coach at Neville?
Yes, sir, sure do. Remember the great rivalries between him and Chick Childress at Rusted, who had coached at Neville.
Yeah.
That was some great games.
Example. Yeah. He's a good example of that leadership you were talking about a minute ago. But I was a high school science teacher there at Neville, and the very thing you were talking about the distribution of money between administration and actually doing the teaching, that's been a debate that probably goes back to World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to World War II, I got a feeling that New Orleans and Neville and the other high schools in the state were just run differently, where there wasn't as much administrative overload. And if you needed a new microscope or a new telescope, there'd be money for it. Do you think that's the way it was in the 50s and the 60s?
I don't know. You tell me.
I know that one of
by the way, I was not here in the 50s, but I was here in the 60s.
Okay. One of the stories that the senior teachers told me at Neville was really hard for me to believe, but it's what I understand to be true. During the segregation integration debate that Neville went through in the 70s, I guess, a federal judge determined that there were an unequal number of microscopes between Neville and one of the predominantly black high schools, Carroll maybe, I can't remember. But they actually shut school down for a day, and they physically moved those microscopes from Neville to Carroll so that there was an equal number of microscopes for the children.
Wow.
And they cost a whole day of teaching. Can you believe that, Moon?
Wow. I never heard such. Right or wrong, I never heard such.
Well, if I wasn't in the teacher lounge of Neville High School in about 1988, I would have certainly never heard it either. Some of the things that I've heard you say for the years that you've been on the radio, that what schools need are a nuclear family that loves their children and loves Jesus. Would that not solve a lot of our problems?
It solved just about every single one of them, because I believe the public schools' problems, they got to inherit everything that comes in. So what they're inheriting is a divorce rate, I believe, is 50-60%. And that right there puts them in the back burner for the most part. And I tell you, if everybody that ever had a kid or kids take the time to love those kids from the time they're little to the time they get to where they can take care of themselves, it would be a different world. But I don't think for that to happen, God has to be big time in charge, and he used to be in the United States of America. And I think people have shunned him and said, we're going to shun God, we're going to shun the truth, we're going to shun the Lord. Then what you're doing is you're shunning the truth, and you can't. It's hard to get back to the way it needs to be. And the radical left is destroying family after family, city after city.
Amen. Amen. You know, I was listening to the debate about Trump's Secretary of Education, and the liberals were saying on the radio today, TV today rather, that one reason she shouldn't be allowed is that she didn't go to public schools. How can she understand public schools if she never went to one? Well, that's an interesting indictment, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt about it, David. I appreciate it. I don't know if Obama ever went to a public school. I have no idea. Anyway, appreciate the call. Let's move on. Thanks for the call. Woody in Shreveport. How you doing, Woody?
Just fine, Moon. How you, buddy?
Doing fine, sir.
A couple of things. I was wanting to call you 2 or 3 months back and said if J&J didn't do what you said it was going to do, I'd vote for Hillary. Well, Hillary didn't get my vote.
Well, I'm sure my friends at J&J Exterminator is glad to know 2 things. You must have been happy with their service, and you didn't vote for Hillary.
You're right. Another thing, Moon, all these politicians and everything about this climate change, a lot of them up there, well, they claim to be Christians. Well, I guess I'll PP somebody off just like you have by mentioning the Bible and the Word of God. But if they'll study the Word of God, they'll find out they're not going to change God's will. I don't care if you sow millions, billions, trillions, or zillions at it. You ain't going to change the will of God. No. That's all I got to say.
No. All right, brother. Appreciate the call. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Tea time in Leesville, Louisiana. You're on the Hickson has it hotline, sir.
Hey, Moon, how you doing?
Doing fine, sir.
I'd like to make a comment about the global warming.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes I think I'm the only person that remembers learning in school back in the 60s and 70s in geology class and earth science class that we have gone through several ice ages, and that the time between each ice age has grown exponentially, which has caused oceans to rise, glaciers to recede, and temperatures to rise. And in fact, in those very classes, I was taught that we are overdue for one, and we're going to experience more warming. Yeah. And that was based on scientific proof.
Yes, sir.
And now they tell me that cow flatulence and men are warming the earth.
Yep. That's right. The rearing of a cow is causing problems.
Yes, sir. But my point would be that either the scientists were lying then or the scientists are lying now. But either way, that just proves that scientists do lie.
Yeah, lie. You got to remember, if you look at most scientists, and if I'm wrong, somebody tell me, a lot of them work off grants and public grants, and they work off with money from the federal and state governments and stuff. That's how they get their money.
Right.
They're not out there just saying, okay, I think I'm going to start a company based off of global warming, and I'm going to make a lot of money on it. I'm telling you, these scientists are getting their money from government.
Right.
And grants. We're paying for them to tell us a lie. The whole thing's a lie. They told us we should already be melting away from the major heat. You know, and then before that, it was going to be a time of ice age could come back. They can't make up their mind, so they're going to make it up for you and me. It's crazy. I'm telling you, this whole thing is crazy. Hey, I got to go. Tom, thanks for the call, sir. I appreciate it. One more break to go, and then we'll be back. If you want to be part of the program, it's Hickson has that hotline, 844-766-6607. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show.